Good morning, boys and girls. It's Tuesday today. I can't believe April 1st is almost here. Wow. One request that I have from you guys, if you could please try to make sure that you log into the IXL app on your iPad and make sure that you can get in. I'd appreciate it. Have mom or dad message me tomorrow or today yet to see if you can get in. We're going to be using that app for a while here, so I just checking in to make sure everybody has it and can get in. If you don't have a passcode or whatever, let me know. I think everybody had one when they left the classroom, so but I did bring those home with me. So all right, so that's IXL. Just please make sure that you can get onto that app. Okay, so I think we left off, we met Lena and Dune, and they were about to get the jobs that they get at the age of 12 when they graduate from school. All right. So the mayor was talking. "Who's to go first?" he said. No one moved. Lena stared down at the top of her desk, and there was a long silence. And then Lizzie Biscoe, one of Lena's very best friends, sprang to her feet. I would like to be first," she said, breathless in a high voice. "Good. Walk forward." Lizzie went to stand before the mayor. Because of her orange hair, she looked like a bright spark next to him. "Choose." The mayor held out the bag with one hand and put the other behind his back as if to show he would not interfere. Lizzie reached into the bag and withdrew a tightly folded square of paper. She unfolded it carefully. Lena couldn't see the look on Lizzie's face, but she could hear the disappointment in her voice as she read out, "Supply depot clerk?" "Very good," said the mayor. "A vital job in Ember City." Lizzie trudged back to her desk. Lena smiled at her, but Lizzie made a sour face. Supply depot clerk wasn't a bad job, but it was a dull one. The supply depot clerk sat behind a long counter, took orders from the storekeepers of Ember, and sent the carriers down to bring up what was wanted from the vast network of storerooms beneath Ember's cities. The storerooms held supplies of every kind: canned food, clothes, furniture, blankets, light bulbs, medicine, pots and pans, reams of paper, soap, light bulbs, everything the people of Ember could possibly need. The clerks sat at their ledger books all day, recording the orders that came in and the goods that went out. Lizzie didn't like to sit still. She would have been better suited to something else, Lena thought, like a messenger maybe, the job Lena wanted for herself. Messenger. Messengers ran through the city all day, going everywhere, seeing everything. "Next," said the mayor. This time, two people stood up at once, Orly Gordon and Chet Noam. Orly quickly sat down again, and Chet approached the mayor. "Choose, young man," the mayor said. Chet chose. He unfolded a scrap of paper. "Electrician's helper," he read, and his wide face broke into a smile. Lena heard someone take a quick breath. She looked over to see Dune pressing a hand against his mouth. You never knew, each year, exactly which jobs would be offered. Some years there were several good jobs like greenhouse helper, timekeeper's assistant, or messenger, and no bad jobs were offered at all. Other years, jobs like pipework laborer, trash sifter, and mold scraper were mixed in, but there would always be at least one or two jobs for an electrician's helper. Fixing electricity was the most important job in Ember, and more people worked at it than anything else. Orly Gordon was next. She got the job of building repair assistant, which was a good job for Orly. She was a strong girl and liked hard work. Mindy Chance was made a greenhouse helper. She gave Lena a big grin as she went back to her seat. She'll get to work with Clary, Lena thought. Lucky her. So far, no one had picked a really bad job. Perhaps this time there would be no bad jobs at all. The idea gave her courage. Besides, she had reached the point where the suspense was giving her a stomachache. So as Mindy sat down, even before the mayor could say, "Next," she stood up and stepped forward. The little bag was made of faded green material, gathered at the top with a black string. Lena hesitated a moment, then put her hand inside and fingered the bits of paper. Feeling as if she were stepping off a high building, she picked one. She unfolded it carefully. The words were written in black ink in a small, careful printing. "Pipeworks laborer," they said. She stared at them. "Out loud, please," the mayor said. "Pipeworks laborer," Lena said in a choked kind of whisper. "Louder," the mayor demanded. Lena said again, her voice a little louder. "Pipeworks laborer." Keeping her eyes on the floor, Lena went back to her desk and sat down. Pipeworks laborers worked below the storerooms in the deep labyrinth of tunnels that contained Ember's water and sewer pipes. They spent their days stopping up leaks and replacing pipe joints. It was wet, cold work, and it could even be dangerous. A swift underground river ran through Pipeworks, and every now and then someone fell into that and was lost. People were lost occasionally in the tunnels, too, if they strayed too far. Lena stared miserably down at the letter B someone had scratched into her desktop long ago. Almost anything would have been better than Pipeworks labor. Greenhouse helper had been her second choice. She imagined with longing the warm air and earthy smell of the greenhouse, where she could have worked with Clary, the greenhouse manager, someone she'd known all her life. She would have been content as a doctor's assistant, too, binding up cuts and bones. Even a street sweeper or a cart puller would have been better. At least then she could have stayed above the ground. With space and people all around her, she thought going down into the pipeworks must be kind of like being buried alive. One by one, the other students chose their jobs. None of them got such a wretched job as hers. Finally, the last person rose from his chair and walked forward. It was Dune. His dark eyebrows were drawn together in a frown of concentration, and his hands, Lena saw, were clenched into fists at his side. Dune reached into the bag and took out the last scrap of paper. He paused a minute, pressing it tightly in his hand. "Go on," the mayor said. "Read." Unfolding the paper, Dune read out loud, "Messenger." He scowled, crumpled the paper, and dashed it to the floor. Lena gasped. The whole class rustled in surprise. Why would anyone be angry to get the job of a messenger? "Bad behavior," cried the mayor. His eyes bulged and his face darkened. "Go to your seat immediately." Dune kicked the crumpled paper into a corner, and then he stalked back to his desk and flung himself down. The mayor took a short breath and blinked furiously. "Disgraceful," he said, glaring at Dune. "A childish display of temper. Students should be glad to work for their city. Emperor will prosper if all citizens do their best." He held up a stern finger as he said this and moved his eyes slowly from one face to the next. Suddenly, Dune spoke up. "But Ember's not prospering," he cried. "Everything is getting worse and worse." "Silence!" screamed the mayor. "The blackouts!" cried Dune. He jumped from his seat. "The lights go out all the time now. All the time. Then the shortages. There's shortages of everything. If no one does anything about it, something terrible is going to happen." Lena listened with a pounding heart. What was wrong with Dune? Why was he so upset? He was taking things too seriously, like he always did. Miss Thorne strode to Dune and put a hand on his shoulder. "Sit down now," she said quietly, but Dune remained standing. The mayor glared, and for a moment he said nothing, and then he smiled, showing a neat row of gray teeth. "Miss Thorne," he said, "who might this young man be?" "I am Dune Harrow," said Dune. "I will remember you," said the mayor. He gave Dune a long look and then turned to the class and smiled his oily smile. "Congratulations to all," he said. "Welcome to Ember's workforce. Miss Thorne, class, thank you." The mayor shook hands with Miss Thorne and departed. The students gathered their coats and caps and filed out of the classroom. Lena walked down the wide hallway with Lizzie, who said, "Poor you. I thought I picked a bad one, but you got the worst. I feel lucky compared to you." Once they were out the door, Lizzie said goodbye and scurried away as if Lena's bad luck was a disease she might catch. Lena stood on the steps for a moment and gazed across Harkin Square, where people walked briskly, bundled up cozily in their coats and scarves, or talked to one another in the pools of the light beneath the great street lamps. A boy in a red messenger's jacket ran toward the gathering hall. On Otterwell Street, a man pulled a cart filled with sacks of potatoes, and in the buildings all around the square, rows of lighted windows shone bright yellow and deep gold. Lena sighed. This is where she wanted to be, up here where everything happened, not down underground. Someone tapped her on the shoulder. Startled, she turned and saw Dune behind her. His thin face looked pale. "Will you trade with me?" he asked. "Trade?" she said. "Trade jobs. I don't want to waste my time being a messenger. I want to help save the city, not run around carrying gossip." Lena gaped at him. You'd rather be in the pipeworks? She demanded. Shh. Electrician's helper is what I wanted, Dune said. But Chet won't trade, of course. Pipeworks is second best. But why? She asked. Because, said Dune, the generator is in the pipeworks. Lena knew about the generator, of course. In some mysterious way, it turned the running of the river into power for the city. You could feel its deep rumble when you stood in Plumber Square. I need to see the generator, Dune said again. I have some ideas. He thrust his hands into a pocket. So, he said, will you trade? And that's where we'll stop. See you guys tomorrow.